of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And this is Season 4, Episode 21.
Or Episode 91 if you're counting.
Let us know if there are any issues with this stream. I'm still not confident that we're streaming the way we need to be streaming, but, I'm trying.
We try.
At least we've got audio recording, but I'm sure you guys will tell us if there is a problem. Not too many people in here right now, but to be fair, we did just release on YouTube, finally, our movie, Farewell Fami Kamen Rider.
Yeah, so there's a fairly logical reason why people aren't in here right now, and that's completely understandable. We know we had a lot of you guys in here last night watching the world premiere along with everybody else. Mm-hmm. Had close to 200 people watching it, and geez, it was an experience watching you guys react to it and just seeing all the love and support coming out. It was amazing.
It was a fantastic experience at MagFest, of course, to be live with those people in the room. But even live with people in a chat room is an amazing experience. I would encourage, if you have not yet watched the movie, do so, and do so with other people, because I think that it really improves the experience to be with other people while you're watching it. So,
absolutely.
Yes. As always, thank you to our Patreon contributors over at patreon.com/MarsGirl who make this show happen every week. And now that the movie is finally done being worked on, I can get back to the Patreon request reviews that have been sitting in my backlog for really far too long, and it's not really fair to you guys that it's been sitting there for that long. But I'm excited to be working about that again.
But the thing is, before you do that, you've actually got another movie to take care of this weekend.
Yeah, tomorrow I hop on a plane to Minnesota to go work with Linkara on his Atop the Fourth Wall movie, along with a whole bunch of other people. So that's a different experience.
But don't you guys worry, that's not going to put a damper on things. We are still doing another show next week. It'll just be kind of you remoting in.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not next week's show will be live. I cannot promise you that. But I can promise that we will, in fact, at least record it and get it out there. So that's the best I can promise for the time being. Still looking forward to there being another show next week.
Yes.
Other than that, what else is going on?
Well, there's actually quite a bit going on news-wise, and it's kind of hard to just touch on certain things here and there because it's actually going to be a pretty full show tonight. Mm-hmm. That all being together, It's been an interesting week. Just to give you guys a little bit of backstory, yeah, we got the movie out there yesterday, but man, if there weren't technical issues with that,
yeah,
it was a pain and a half. Like, some of you guys have heard the story about what it took to get just the working copy without all the major effects to MagFest. Well, in this case, we tried to be 2-3 days ahead of time, have this thing ready. Yeah. And what ended up happening was that no matter what, Murphy's Law has to take effect on certain things, especially when you have a deadline. And then what ends up happening is every single sort of error that Adobe Premiere could throw at you, it threw at you. And I have to give props to Kaylin for not losing her cool worse than she did, because, yeah, it was kind of annoying.
Yeah, it was slightly more than annoying. And really, after the premiere, aside from trying to render it again and the computer deciding, you know what, I'll take this opportunity to restart and apply some updates. Other than that, I set it to render before I went off to work this morning for the final YouTube version, and then when I came home, it was perfectly fine. Like, it just did it correctly the first try, rather than the 80 bajillion tries I gave it the last 3 days to get it to work for you guys for the live version, and okay, it's up now, so good.
Yes.
I can finally quit stressing about it.
And we'll just kind of mention this at length because it kind of ties into one of our stories. Yeah, we've had a lot of stuff to work on with, of course, this movie and then you going off to film this weekend. But the other thing going on this weekend that, again, ties into our story later is Star Wars Celebration. And that's going on right now. I wanted to go
so bad, but then the stupid guy who reviews, I don't know, comic books or lamps or something, wanted me to go
I heard it was lamps.
I heard it was lamps. Wanted me to go do this dumb movie or something. I don't know. So I have to miss Star Wars Celebration for this guy who reviews lamps. Ugh.
Yeah, but if you guys are seeing some of the cosplay or the pictures coming out of it now on any sort of social media, you can see they're having a blast there. Of course, it's a movie year. Tons of news coming out of that. But just to have the experience of having all those fans together, you know, walking around, and you know the guy next to you is just as, if not more nerdy than you are, for the exact same reason you're there. I mean, I hope to share in that next year, because, you know, you have Star Wars Celebration to look forward to every so often. I have Power Morphicon to look forward to every so often, and neither of us have been to either one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that next year, because that is also going to be a movie year, that we will be able to make it out there and have that same experience.
It would be nice. Just so you guys know, those of you who are live with us on Twitch right now, I'm getting from another broadcasting friend of mine who is also broadcasting right now that he's also experiencing issues with Twitch. So I'm imagining that it's a server thing. Perhaps it has something to do with Grand Theft Auto 5 having gotten its PC version and everybody's freaking out over it. That's entirely possible. I'm gonna guess that. Yeah.
Which also has something to do with tonight's stories. And since we're kind of hitting at that, we'll probably tell you guys what we're doing tonight.
Oh yeah, what are we doing? Well, for one thing, it is actually Guitar Hero.
Yes, it's Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero. New Guitar Hero game is coming out, and this is after we've learned the news of the new Rock Band coming out, and it's significantly different than previous versions of Guitar Hero, which could be a good thing. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Our second story actually has a slight tie back to you, but we'll talk more about that once we get into it. The BBC is creating a movie called Jacked, which is basically telling the story of Rockstar Games and how they worked on launching the title Grand Theft Auto. And part of that movie will involve Jack Thompson, who is notoriously the lawyer who will litigate most video games or fun things at a moment's notice.
Because if I ever thought of one guy I thought would ever play Jack Thompson on the big screen, it would be Bill Paxton.
Who happens to be the guy playing Jack Thompson. But we'll talk more about that once we get to it.
And then, what is this last one? Star Wars Celebration and Force Awakens.
Yeah, like you thought we weren't going to talk about. No, this is the major news right
Considering
now.
that's all, like, that dropped today, of course we're on top of that. Man, that teaser... Man, that BB-8, like, we're gonna be all over that.
We're gonna be all over that. All Star Wars, all last section of tonight's show. But before that...
Because we talk about Star Wars a lot anyway.
Yeah, we do.
So.
But we have a lot to talk about tonight.
But I'm sure we have some follow-ups, as usual.
We got follow-ups. So, to start with, by this point, many of us, myself included, have gone ahead and dived fully into Netflix's new Daredevil series, all 13 episodes being loaded at once.
I was so busy I could only watch that first episode, but it looked fantastic.
Yes, and of course the reviews are now coming in. This thing has a 75% on Metacritic and 97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is fantastic.
It's hard pressed nowadays to get ratings that good. And you remember we were talking just a bit before this came out, before all the episodes loaded, and you remember I was voicing how many worries I had about this thing. Like, there's too many good reviews about this coming out early on. There's no way it's that good. There is no way, being cautiously aware of what was going on. As someone who will not spoil, we'll talk more about that in the post-show, but as someone who sat through the whole thing as well-paced as you could, every good thing that you're hearing about it, if you haven't watched it yet, is 100% true. This thing is a beautiful adaptation. It's not even, as many people are saying, it's not even just a good Marvel series, it's just a good series, period. The pacing, the characters, the storytelling, just all of it brilliant. Like, by the time Daredevil does in fact get his trademark costume with the horns and the red, you almost feel bad that you're not seeing the vigilante costume, because they've told such a rich story with him just wearing basically Under Armour and pantyhose over his head. Like, this is amazing. If you haven't watched it yet, do yourself a favor, go ahead and watch it. Yes, the action is so raw and realistic.
You were telling me that, yeah, that's the thing. The raw part gets kind of hard to stomach sometimes.
At some points, it's a little gruesome. Some people who've watched know what I'm talking about specifically.
So I'd say be wary. Just realize that exists before you dive into it.
Right. This isn't exactly... It's a mature series, but, it's not exactly R rating, but there's just a couple of bones sticking out here and there, and a very interesting scene with a car door. I'll just leave it like that. But yes, by all means, go ahead and check that out. That having been said, tying into the other Netflix series coming up, we got our first look on set of Kristen Ritter, David Tennant, and several others of the cast for AKA Jessica Jones there on set. And we're seeing that rather than full body paint to match his comic character. David Tennant, who's playing the Purple Man, is dressed just in all purple. You know, a nice purple suit, which I think is a lot more realistic. And I like that now. Now that I've seen Daredevil, I totally trust whatever they're doing with the next series. They absolutely have their heads together. I trust their casting. Nothing about this is going to dissuade me now because they've done such a splendid job. And we're also seeing pictures of Mike Coulter there on set as Luke Cage. Of course, this will probably tie into his solo series once we get that going, but it's nice to see they have begun filming. In other news, kind of jumping around to other Marvel properties, we got another look at a full Ant-Man trailer this week. And that was longer in length than the one we were looking at a few months ago. This one tells a little bit more of the story, and this one makes me feel...
I feel slightly
that
better
much
about
better
it.
about the movie.
I don't feel perfect about it yet. Like, I probably will still see it. This isn't an automatic, oh, I know I'm going to love this, but it is probably a, I will go and, you know, see if I like it or not.
Yeah, because this one upplayed a little bit more of the humor that they say is going to be there in the movie. They tried I'd say very poorly in the last trailer to try and convince us there was going to be comedy, but here very clearly at the end of the trailer you see that scene.
Slightly tongue-in-cheek.
It's a little tongue-in-cheek, especially when you see the now villainous Yellow Jacket being hit by Thomas the Tank Engine. Like, okay,
comical,
I get it.
Comical.
That's kind of comical.
Because he's very small.
Because he's small.
He's a very small thing.
Yes.
Very small.
So, yeah, feeling a little bit better about that. Now, to the opposite side of things about how you feel about a trailer coming out. So, friggin' Terminator Genesis, alright?
Wow.
Wow. Like, if you could... I didn't know you could jump the shark that hard since that reveal in How to Train Your Dragon 2's trailer. Like, if you're gonna give away the whole movie, and that was your job to give away the whole movie, good job. You done well.
You did a movie in 2 minutes.
I have no reason to see this movie anymore.
Nope.
Because,
all the premise that it told me was stupid anyway. I'll say it kind of in the same way that Nash said it on his stream just the other day, and realize I'm telling you, I'm quoting basically what he said.
Because we agree with him.
Yeah, but this is because I agree with what he's stated, and it's that if they had just given us a trailer that did not, tell us the entire story, and you went in, and you hated it, and you walked out of the movie, at least then the studio would have had your money already. But now they released a really bad trailer that tells everything about it, and every single plot point is stupid, and so now they won't even make money.
Yeah. Like, it's a pretty fairly big spoiler. Like, do we want to go ahead and say it? Do we even care?
I don't know.
Okay, to be fair, we won't say what the spoiler is, just go watch the trailer and they'll tell you themselves. It's not even that hard.
Yeah, it's up to you guys whether you want to be spoiled by the trailer or not. That's not our job.
Yeah, but just really, that's all I gotta say about it. Like, if you could not come up with any sort of new direction other than the one you're presenting for this story, you probably shouldn't have done it. Mm-hmm. Just saying. Okay, so that having been said, moving on to other news, we got some news from the DC side. Arrow, just last night, had a new episode and revealed that Roy, who's Arsenal there on the show, for whatever reason, not spoiling how it happens, but is not coming back for Season 4, seeing as his actor, his contract is up this season. But the way they've written it is that he's optioned to either come back in a later season or perhaps take his character Arsenal and then spin him off into the big superhero crossover show that they're also doing. So, you know, it's kind of sad to see him go because I really like his character there on Arrow, but I trust the way they're doing it. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't bring him back, you know, since he's tied in very well to the story. But, you know, I'll trust them there. DC, of course, doing better on their television front than their movie front.
Right. Of which, I don't know if we were going to talk about it, because there was that leak.
I'm saving that to the end of the
but it ties in, though.
I know. We have other DC news. Okay. So, in other DC news, Wonder Woman originally had Michelle McLaurin attached to direct. Well, due to creative differences, she is no longer going to be directing.
That sounds awful. That sounds absolutely awful.
Because we remember that's why we lost the last director to Ant-Man, was creative differences. That's why we don't have Edgar Wright anymore. So now DC has gone ahead and replaced her, Warner Brothers really, replacing her with Patty Jenkins, who directed Monster with Charlize Theron. And she was also previously attached to direct Thor: The Dark World before she was replaced by Alan Taylor. So she's got some tie to a comic book property movie. Now, this is still giving people what they wanted. They wanted a woman directing the Wonder Woman movie, so now we've still got that.
Which makes me feel better, yeah. It could still be okay, but this whole creative differences thing, I don't like that excuse, because that just screams to me, oh, there's a bigger problem probably on the studio side than the director's side.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous.
Yes.
Totally makes me nervous.
And then just to round out this section, like we were saying, so it goes without saying, the other thing we talk about a ton other than Star Wars and Jurassic World is, of course, Not Quite Justice League.
Or Batman v Superman.
Yes, and, of course, finally, Zack Snyder decided that we deserved, a little something. And by a little something, we mean 25 seconds worth of footage. And by 25 seconds worth of footage, he means a teaser for the full trailer, which apparently now will be loaded on Monday night. That's the 20th. And people will have the opportunity to go see this in select IMAX theaters. But from what I'm understanding, the full trailer will also be loaded online the same day. So we will finally get our first look at Not Quite Justice League. However, some footage did happen to leak online today. And it's just real quick, about the same amount of time as the other footage, but this showing a little bit more...
Basically the same scene, too, as the only other scene that we've seen.
Of, Superman and Batman facing off
in the rain.
On the rooftop. Batman's in his, full bat armor.
Glowing eyes.
And a brief blurb can be heard coming out of Batman, which I couldn't really make out, but they had subtitles there, so we translated it. He asks Superman, basically, tell me, do you bleed? You will. And then, logo. Which,
again, tells us pretty much Jack.
Yeah,
really.
Which is what I've been worried about this whole time.
I am so sick that now we're less than a year out, and that's the most we've seen. Like, I was having a discussion, actually, Roger here in the chat, in regards to the Star Wars teaser, which we'll get into a little bit later, but that, being less than a year out from your movie's release, you should probably show, a little bit more. I think the Star Wars teaser that was released today manages to show significantly more than that stupid teaser for Not Quite Justice League.
Yeah, because the teaser last night, I get it, it's a teaser, but if the bulk of new footage is literally 4 seconds of just Batman's costume hanging up in the Batcave, that's it, then no, you got to do a little better than that. Like when we've seen stuff teased at us, I should say, for like Age of Ultron or even Jurassic World, we got a little bit more than that to bite off in, less than 30 seconds. Here, it's like, are you trying to not let people have faith in your movie? Because you're doing a really good job on that front. Just saying. But of course, we're not making that a full story this week. Obviously, we'll probably make that a major story next week when we actually have the trailer to talk about.
Was that it for the follow-ups?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay, so in that case, then let's go to... right. Things with plastic toy guitars and stuff. Middly. So, I am a fantastically huge rhythm game fan.
And how.
Man, I got on board with Guitar Hero when it initially launched. Both Guitar Hero and Rock Band. And as I mentioned a week or two back, I can't remember how many weeks ago it was now, we talked about Rock Band getting its relaunch, and they're talking about hopefully being able to incorporate last gaming consoles generations, guitars, and other instruments into this current generation. Don't know how they would do that, considering those two controllers are not compatible. So now let's talk about Guitar Hero Live, which actually, I guess it's not being handled directly by Activision. It's being handled by, it says somewhere in the article in here, a British branch, actually, that is not exactly...
Freestyle Games?
Yeah, Freestyle Games,
yes.
There we go. And it looks significantly different, and it seems to be somewhat of an FMV-style game, full motion video, in which, like, you are a member of a band, and your band is, like, real dudes who have really been filmed by real cameras, and you go out onto a real stage that has really been filmed with a real audience that is really cheering for you, and if you're
really booing you if you screw up.
Booing you, because if you're going plink plank plonk, then your bandmates are like up in your face going, dude, what the hell, man, what's your problem? Get with it. And then you look out into the audience and this lady is screaming at you, you suck! But if you're doing awesome, then you're like, yeah, man, let's go, keep it up.
I'm
and
just
the
saying,
audience
if you're
go, woo!
Like, I'm just thinking, if I have enough trouble with people yelling "you suck" at me in real life, and games are supposed to be escapism, like, do I want to play the game that tells me I suck still?
Well, you play DDR, right? The audience boos you if you screw up.
Yeah, but it's not.
And then
like,
you got the audience that's like, did you have breakfast today?
No, I didn't, because I'm a busy person in my late 20s. Like, no, I didn't have breakfast today. That's a life choice.
That's a life choice. So what I also find really interesting is that, yeah, they're releasing entirely new instruments for Guitar Hero, unlike, I guess, the direction they're taking Rock Band. And Guitar Hero's guitar has gone from the 5-button down-the-neck layout in multicolors to 2 rows of 3. So, 1, 2, 3 here on the right, and then move your fingers a little bit more in, and 1, 2, 3 here on the left.
Right.
So it's a total of 6 buttons, and you're just kind of moving your fingers back and forth like this, really. And it supposedly feels more like actual chord progression,
right,
with an actual guitar, rather than moving up and down the neck of the guitar. And that's going to be a completely new learning curve for me, because both Rock Band and Guitar Hero functioned nearly identically up until that moment in time.
Right. Now, just out of curiosity, because I don't know if I remember you telling me or not, did you ever try to play Rocksmith?
I always wanted to play Rocksmith and never did, because
Well,
it bragged so hard about actually teaching you how to play a guitar.
Well, like, at this point, if we're going to a system that, we've gone from 4 buttons to 6 buttons, it's like, do we even care about teaching our audience actually how to play an instrument? No, they want to push buttons.
No,
so
we
what are we
going
to
to
do?
Video games.
We give them 2 more buttons. Be happy. And I think that's going to work.
No,
because...
they only gave us 1 more button, and they moved those buttons.
Oh, so just 1 more button.
Only 1 more button.
Man, that's cutting corners. They could have given us 2 more buttons.
They could have. But no, they only gave us 6 buttons, not 7.
6.
6 buttons.
6 buttons.
6 buttons. But I do think it's kind of interesting, because, yeah, like, that learning curve is going to be significant for me. Supposedly, the writer of this article over at comingsoon.net is not very confident on the track listing, for example, right now. They only had, like, 2 demo songs that they were being allowed to play, and there's no word as of yet what that track listing is supposed to be. I'd be interested, again, in seeing... does it?
Well, it doesn't have a track list, but it does at least mention several artists that are going to be available, such as the Black Keys, Fall Out Boy, The Killers, My Chemical Romance, Green Day, Ed Sheeran, so on and so forth. So, about what you figure from a Guitar Hero game, a lot of current titles, and then a couple of old ones thrown in for older fans.
Really, if you think about it, the 3 and 3 button neck setup, it's really just like, Guitar Freaks times 2. Because Guitar Freaks only has 3 buttons.
Yeah, that's only 3 buttons.
But then you put 2 Guitar Freaks controllers together, and you get a Guitar Hero Live controller.
I think you're overthinking it just slightly. Because, if you have 2 together, you gotta, like, tape them together. and then you're like really trying to be like, okay, I'm hitting the buttons on this one, but I'm whammying on this one, and that'll just screw you up. So it's just easier to make a controller that has 6 buttons. No, but the thing about this is, you know, like we talk about a lot of video games here, the question always is this going to sell? Because you think about it, you know, rhythm gaming is its own thing, but, you know, games like Rock Band and Guitar Hero kind of sort of ran themselves into the ground.
Guitar Hero specifically drove themselves into the ground. At the very least, Rock Band was kind of getting on board with DLC and not releasing a different version of Rock Band all the friggin' time. Granted, they released Beatles. It was like, okay, let's start releasing versions for different bands. But then Guitar Hero was guilty of that too, releasing for Aerosmith and Metallica? Or did Metallica belong to Rock Band? Doesn't matter. I know Aerosmith belonged to Guitar Hero. Then there was, like, Guitar Hero 80s whatever.
Right.
Like, it just went on and on and on. And, yeah, especially Guitar Hero drove themselves into the ground.
Now, the thing about this is they're also saying that they're talking about mobile play, that this thing they've come up with, which is basically a way of being able to stream different titles of music, will extend onto mobile platforms like cell phones and tablets. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, how well is that going to work out?
I thought that Guitar Hero had released a mobile version before. Now, granted, this was its old model that kind of looks more like the older style games and the arcade game. The arcade game blows! It's so bad! Anyway, but you're like holding it like this and you're going...
Yeah.
It kind of...
Wait, are you playing Rock Band or are you playing All the Bravest? Because I...
I admittedly purchased the Guitar Hero for the Nintendo DS, and it came with that little thing that you shove into the Game Boy Advance slot, and you have to hold your DS sideways, and it came with this little touchscreen guitar pick, and you're going as you're plunking along like this. It kind of hurt after a little bit to use, but
I was cool with it.
Well, the idea, the concept I thought was really cool and really novel, but it did not sell very well.
It didn't catch on.
It was very easy to find for like $5 brand new inside of half-price books. Many, many copies of it. That did not go over so very well. So, yeah, Guitar Hero clearly drove themselves into the ground, and so this, because this is coming out just, I think, this fall.
Yes.
For PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and Wii U, so it's also staying on last-gen consoles,
which is smart, because, you know, you don't want to have to force somebody with a notable title like Guitar Hero to have to go next-gen. No, you want to go to them, because it'll be easier to sell them a copy.
Either way, it doesn't matter to me, because now I need an entirely new guitar. I wasn't going to need an entirely new guitar, because I have the old instruments, but now I need a new instrument, because this plays completely differently.
But be honest with yourself, do you really feel that bad about needing to buy a new game instrument?
I always like peripherals, especially rhythm game peripherals.
So do you feel bad about this?
I feel bad about not having the money that would have been there if I did not have to buy an instrument.
Yeah, but that all being considered, you know, if it comes out in fall, there's probably going to be a nice bundle that comes out with it just in time for the holiday season. It'll be fine. You'll probably have one by December. At the least. So, yeah, you guys be on the lookout for that. Guitar Hero Live coming out fall of this year. We're all going to screw up together. That's
Plink,
just how
plank,
it is.
plonk.
Plink,
Plink, plink, plank, plonk. Plink,
plink. Okay, so moving on to our second story. This guy.
I know he's very small, but that's because he's being portrayed in a movie by some other guy. Is it? Yeah, and it's this guy.
I very much appreciate how you managed to make Bill Paxton that much bigger than actual Jack Thompson.
You know, that's just the way it had to be framed.
I thought you did that on purpose.
There was nothing on purpose about it. It's just that's the way it had to be framed. So for some reason, there's a movie that requires Jack Thompson's likeness to be in it.
Yes.
Now, granted, the story is a very interesting story, and it's based off of a novel. What's the name of the movie that's being adapted?
It's called Jacked, the outlaw story of Grand Theft Auto.
That makes me so upset, because that basically puts Jack Thompson's name in the title of the friggin' movie. Like, he does not deserve the attention, and here we are talking about it. But, oh my god.
Okay, so basically what this is the story of, like we said at the top of the show, Rockstar Games having created, you know, the Grand Theft Auto franchise and how it took off and was very much ambitiously created. And one of the creators of, actually one of the co-founders of Rockstar Games is actually being played by Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Well, then no wonder this BBC, right?
Yes.
Is making this. Now, it's a movie?
It's a television movie.
Okay, that's why. It's a television
and they
movie.
do a lot of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're going to be telling the story of how the two brothers Sam and Dean... Sam and Dan, not Sam and Dean. That's Supernatural. My bad. Sam
God.
and because that would be a completely different movie.
It
like
sure would.
That would be something right there. Now I'm just going off on the tangent.
No,
Sam and Dean
stay on topic.
find out.
Stay on topic. Stay on topic.
I'm just saying, can we prove that Jack Thompson isn't a demon?
No, we can't prove that.
Somebody write that episode of Supernatural. Submit it. Fanfic it. Point being, it's going to tell the story about how Sam and Dan Hauser rose to fortune, and then of course, you know, here comes Jack Thompson having to find something wrong in a video game, as he is wont to do.
And it's interesting, Bill Paxton described to, who was he being interviewed by? Deadline Reports.
Yes.
He completely understands the character that he is portraying, as he tells Deadline about Jack Thompson. He got Howard Stern kicked off the radio and took on 2 Live Crew. There'd be a gag order, and he'd still go on talk shows. He was...
he would write these hateful letters to people.
Hateful letters to people. He was litigating. He just got too emotionally caught up in it. So he understands how totally crazy Jack Thompson really seems to be. And I think that's really interesting, so that perhaps that will help him portray the actual insanity that is Jack Thompson, as this is a man who, he was an ambulance chaser, basically, the worst kind of lawyer you can possibly think of, for really unknown reasons, to prove a point that I can't figure out what point he would try to prove by doing so. He would just throw gay pornography onto a judge's desk, and the judge would be like, what have you given this to me for? And then Jack Thompson would have to be like, okay, I guess I won't provide this as evidence. And, like, he had, like, this is a true story, like, I'm not making that up. He did that, and there was no reason for him to do that.
I was about to ask, has Jack Thompson even tried to play Ace Attorney? But I guess the answer would be no. Mm-hmm. Because even then, that's the kind of screw-up you'd see in, I don't know, a video game about being a lawyer.
That's the thing. Yeah, did Jack Thompson have to sign his likeness for this movie? That's
I would imagine
question.
he would have to. Because it's a
Which
little
would mean
different.
that he would be getting paid.
Well, yeah, because there's different rights that go into, you know, using somebody's actual likeness. Because in some movies where, like, you take an episode of Law & Order SVU, you know, they adapt stories from actual media, and they try not to directly reference anybody, which is why they have those disclaimers, the names have been changed, or the likenesses aren't exactly the person that you think we're talking about.
But no, this is specifically Jack Thompson, and yes, he has been disbarred since, so he no longer is a lawyer, because he is totally insane, although the Florida bar did try to make him take an insanity test. Granted, he passed, and then he used that to brag, oh, I'm the only sane lawyer in Florida now. No.
You're practicing law in Florida, and Florida's got its own problems, as you may well be aware of. So that's a whole problem in and of itself. So that means, and we talked about this briefly before the start of the show, indirectly, that means Bill Paxton threatened to sue you.
Yes.
Indirectly.
Indirectly.
Which also means you get to tell this story again.
I'm going to try and tell this briefly, because I've told this story before, which is why when Jack Thompson comes up in the news, like, oh man, let's talk about this guy again. So what's the briefest way I can tell this story? The first year of the Screw Attack Gaming Convention, they actually nailed Jack Thompson down as a guest who was also going to do a Q&A session and have a debate with another lawyer who was pro video games. And we were like, oh my god, this is insane. And Jack Thompson's Q&A session was supposed to be, the questions were supposed to be not pre-screened. So a thing that I did was make a brief video about the top 10 things, the top 10 questions not to ask Jack Thompson. The point of the video was, like, let's not make an ass of ourselves here, right? Like, since they're not going to be pre-screened questions, can we please ask him questions that don't make gamers look bad? The jokes were all kind of stupid. Like, they were things like, are you a butt? Do you play Rock Band, and will you play the butt in our band? You know,
hey, that ties back to the last thing.
Yeah, it sure does. Rhythm game. So they were like really stupid, childish questions. So whether or not you liked the video, like, that's your own thing. Plus, in Screw Attack's user blogs, I also wrote, here's who is Jack Thompson. Here's a list of notable things he's known for having done. So, like, less than 8 hours after I posted both of those things, the next thing I know, the next morning, I check my email, and oh my god, Jack Thompson has emailed me.
That has represented him.
Jack Thompson has emailed me, and he's like CC'd me in an email chain along with Screw Attack and GamePolitics.com, and he's going, oh my god, Screw Attack, I want out of this contract because you guys are slandering me. Like, he didn't know the difference between stuff that Screw Attack publishes and what a user blog is. Like, what their user base is. Like, they thought that I was a member of... He thought that I was a member of Screw Attack, and he thought that this was now a means to pull out of his contract. And through this chain of letters, of emails that he sent back and forth, I learned things that I probably had no business learning, like how much SGC was paying him to attend SGC. Like, dude, don't be giving out this info. Like, I should not be privy to this knowledge, you horrible, horrible man. And plus, he loved to call all of us gamers fascists. Like, he used the word fascist over and over and over again in these emails.
My thing is, I've always said this about certain kinds of people that you might run into in your own life. If somebody is very quick to use either the term fascist or proletariat, chances are they're kind of a jerk, and you might not want to be talking to them. Just saying.
Right.
And obviously, Jack Thompson kind of strikes me as that kind of person.
So, like, here I was not so much upset that I upset Jack Thompson as much as I was thinking, oh my god, I ruined the first SGC and I killed their awesome programming because Jack Thompson can't tell what a joke is, and can't tell when we're trying to do something nice, and can't tell the difference between Screw Attack content and user-created content.
Right.
So, I apologized, and he immediately was like, well, aren't you a nice person? You know, we should meet at SGC, blah, blah. I did not meet him.
Which is the same look I gave her when she told me this when it actually happened. I'm like, you're not gonna do that, right?
No, that was not going to happen. So, yes, that was my experience with Jack Thompson, who threatened to sue me because I called him a butt a couple of times in jest. Indirectly, in order to make a point. Don't call him a butt.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, part of me wonders, because I don't think they're going to go that in-depth into who he was. It's actually more about Rockstar Games. There's like the slightest chance.
No, I don't even want... No. Like,
but there's like a slight chance.
No, it won't happen.
Slight chance. BBC might have to cast somebody in... What was you were in the blue hair back then, right?
Yeah, but no, that is like so far removed from when he was originally getting up Rockstar's butthole about Grand Theft Auto. Like, that is so far removed. There is no reason why they would address this topic.
All right.
Not to mention, it didn't make enough news. You know.
I know.
The Penny Arcade incident made way more news than that, and that's a completely different story.
You think they'll cover that?
No, I think they're going to cover Rockstar Games.
Okay. I'm just wondering how much backstory they're going to give him as a character in this television movie.
Yeah.
Like, just keep it honed in there, or is somebody going to have to watch their own mini montage in movie of, hey, you need to find out about this Jack Thompson guy who's coming after us, and then they watch like a news clip where they cover all this stuff that he's done.
Right.
So I that's where I'm coming from in that idea. But that having been said, they start shooting this movie next week. No current word on when this is going to go ahead and go up on BBC, but chances are it'll hit BBC first, then of course BBC America, which will give us over here a chance to watch it. So we'll let you guys know once we know when that's coming. So that having been said, we actually have quite a bit of time left in our show. What are we going to talk about?
Okay, whatever. I don't think I can do this quickly enough. Hold on.
You can try.
Oh, has it been on for like ever?
Oh, I hope not.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead. He needs new batteries.
He's dead, Jim.
He's dead. Never mind.
Okay, sorry guys. Automaton is sitting this one out. Point being Star Wars. Okay, so friggin' The Force Awakens. New trailer came out today.
Teaser trailer.
Straight out of Star Wars Celebration. And man, the feels.
It's significantly better looking than its first teaser trailer. I still don't really know what this story is about, and I'm eager to know what kind of story it's going to tell. However, there's going to be a more full trailer. It's not going to be the same teaser, correct?
Not as far as I know, no.
Yeah, there's going to be another trailer before the opening of Avengers in a couple more weeks. So, there's so much Star Wars about to go down, like, I can't even tell you. So, this teaser, man...
this is more of a trailer now because the length is significantly longer than the other one, and we've got a lot more visually to go off here. And right off the bat, you see at the beginning this downed Star Destroyer, and it's like, yeah, this is what we're looking for. The effects of that last battle in Return of the Jedi. This is what's going on right now.
Yeah,
30 years have passed.
You at least, even if we don't know the story, from the visuals alone, and I think that Plinkett in his original Star Wars prequel trilogy reviews kind of says it best, as he's talking about the imagery from the very beginning of Episode 4, A New Hope, when Princess Leia's tiny little meager ship is trying to outrun a Star Destroyer, and you've got this shot that shows the immense length of a Star Destroyer and just how small and ill-equipped the rebellion is, and it says so much without saying a word.
Right.
That's exactly what the opening shot of this trailer does, with one little downed X-Wing on this desert planet that is not Tatooine, we find out.
Yes.
Plus a Star Destroyer planted nose first into the dirt of this planet. Just so massive in scale, and it just kind of tells you this is the shape that the galaxy is in after these wars are essentially over, and now we've got some new wars, I'm sure.
Right.
Like, entirely new
now,
wars.
as far as the plot is concerned, thanks to a lot of people paying attention there at Celebration and people cobbling stuff together from the internet, we actually have somewhat of a semblance of a plot of what's going on in this movie now. Of course, it's set 30 years after Return of the Jedi. The Rebellion has apparently now become known as the Resistance, which is a sizable threat against the First Order, which is what the Empire seems to have become now. And we've seen pictures now from Star Wars Celebration of stuff labeled First Order. So this is what the Empire has evolved into, or what was left of it. These events are kicked off by apparently Leia sending out the X-Wing pilot that we see there in the trailer on a mission, leading him to meet the other characters played by John Boyega and Daisy Ridley.
This is all official stuff coming out of Star Wars Celebration?
Cobbled together from all the information and pics and stuff that's coming out there now. And, of course, we've got our confirmation that Kylo Ren is a Sith Inquisitor with the First Order, and this, of course, intertwines everybody into meeting one another, these new characters with the old cast. And, getting ahead of ourselves in the trailer, the very tail end, seeing Han and Chewie together again, and just that line, Chewie, we're home.
and knowing they're inside the
Millennium Falcon.
Which indicates in and of itself, you're home? Where did you go? That must mean they haven't had the Millennium Falcon in some time. So, what happened? I don't know. I'm sure they'll tell us. We get images of, we don't see Mark Hamill's face, but we do see his robotic hand.
And we hear his voice, of course.
And we hear his voice saying the same line he was saying in Return of the Jedi.
The Force is strong in my family.
My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. And then he adds on this new line.
You have it too. Now, this, of course, has been up for debate with people since, this morning, as to, what he's referring to here. Because you think about it, like you were bringing up before the show, he uses present tense there, my father has it. And
yeah, I was kind of curious about that. Is he saying has it, just out of nostalgia from episode 6? Or is he saying that, his father continues to exist somehow? Which I suppose is possible if you think of him, in Ghost Ben Kenobi form, and Ghost Anakin Skywalker and Ghost Yoda form. I'm just concerned, okay, is there gonna be a Ghost Anakin? And if it is, please do not be Hayden Christensen. Please don't be Hayden Christensen. That one line just has me curious. I'm probably reading into it too much, but maybe it's worth talking about. We see a lightsaber get passed from one person to another.
Now, I'm looking at this, and stop me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the lightsaber from Episode 4?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because that's not Luke's lightsaber from Episode 6. He had crafted a completely new one, and he had lost the lightsaber that he had in Episodes 4 and 5 when he fought Darth Vader.
Yeah, because Darth Vader cut his hand off, and that hand was holding a lightsaber. So
I'm trying to figure out, which lightsaber that is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what lightsaber that is. I can't rightly identify. So we see more X-Wings. Why are they fighting? I don't know still.
Well, apparently the Empire, or the First Order, whichever you want to call it, I guess we'll end up calling it the First Order here, is definitely here, and there is quite a bit of them. We were given a look at these new stormtroopers, and now that I'm looking at these designs, these guys look sick. These guys are amazing.
Typically I wouldn't get at all excited about redesigns of stormtroopers or anything. I'm like, no, what are you doing? Don't redesign the stormtroopers. But, I look at them and I continue to go, oh, I might be okay with them. What's happening to me that I actually enjoy change? I'm a person and I don't like change because that means things are different. Because people don't like things that are different. But I don't know. I find them really interesting.
And we're also taking a look at these basically stormtroopers armed with flamethrowers.
Holy crap. These are things coming out of Star Wars Celebration today, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also these pictures were released online, so if you go look them up, these are all official.
Mm-hmm.
Abrams is now
official.
cool.
They're right there in Anaheim right now, officially.
And you can see some of them in the background alongside Kylo Ren. We have a straight shot now of what Kylo Ren looks like. He looks straight out of freaking SWTOR,
Right.
Yeah, you think Sith, no, that guy screams Sith.
Mm-hmm.
He's not quite Vader, of course, but then he's not quite, who's the guy I'm thinking of from SWTOR? Is it Revan? No.
Well, yeah, Revan he's from, the Old Republic, and yes, there is a newer campaign in SWTOR that brings back Revan. Early on, if you do the right missions, then you can go back into an old Revan temple. So Revan is still referenced in SWTOR, and
right.
Yeah, that mask looks very Revanite in nature. Admittedly, I will confess to that.
And then you see the pictures of this one friggin' the chromed out cape wearing stormtrooper.
What is up with that badass?
I know, right? I see that guy and I'm like, I want your story.
I think he looks fantastic, but if I may say so, and maybe this will get my ass kicked, he makes me the most concerned because he's the one that fits in the least, I think.
Well,
with this
obviously
universe.
he's got to be some kind of a commander or something.
This is the one and only thing that scares me so far, I think. He looks the most Abrams, if that makes sense.
I guess I get that,
The
yeah.
most chromy and shiny, and the most capable of inducing lens flares.
Perhaps, perhaps.
He looks fantastic. I'm just not sure if he fits in yet with Star Wars.
I think the more accurate thing is you don't know how he fits in yet.
Well, that's entirely possible too. This is why we need to see a slightly more full trailer. And again, I don't want the whole story given to me. I just want to be told what story I'm going to be told. Like, here's what you have to look forward to. Now come to our movie to figure it out.
And the thing about this, I like that this trailer manages to give us a lot more information while still keeping us in the dark enough to be intrigued. You know, it's not too much information like Terminator Genesis, or not enough information like Not Quite Justice League. This is just the right amount of information, and you see how people are reacting. People are going nuts over seeing old characters, new characters, and of course, quickly winning people's hearts today, BB-8.
BB-8 is amazing. And you know, at first I thought, oh man, I'm gonna hate this droid. Like, I really thought he was all CG, and I'm sure from that first trailer that probably was a combination of live action and CG.
Apparently, like, that might not have been the case, because...
I don't know, he was moving friggin' fast there. He might have been a little CG, but they proved that he is not always entirely CG today at Star Wars Celebration, because they brought him out on stage to interact with R2-D2, and he's a real, existing, practical effect robot. He is so cool. I have no idea how he works. They had to, like, build entirely new robotic technology in order to make this spinny ball thing with a spinny ball head function somehow. Some freaking how.
Like,
he's amazing. And I will probably... I have no idea what his personality's gonna be like, so I can't comment on that yet. It's just the fact that, oh my god, he legitimately functions.
Yes.
Blows my mind.
Which seems to be the thing coming across from this trailer, because obviously, other than things like, say, lightsabers or Star Cruisers, a lot of the emphasis seems to be on practical effects. They want people to be able to react to something, which is leaps and bounds better than what we had to deal with in the prequels, where they didn't have very much to react to at all. Here you're dealing with practical sets, practical, actual robotics there in front of you. And yeah, that's going to enrich the storytelling, enrich the action that the characters are having to get across there when they're actually reacting to this little cute little ball droid there in front of you, beeping and whistling at you. And I don't know if there's anything to that. They were kind of saying, oh, is there something going on between R2 and BB-8, like a rivalry?
I don't know. Do they have a rivalry? Like, they might have just been doing cute banter for the stage, but that could have also been them teasing that that's going to be their relationship.
Well, because I think about it, like, you think about the way they're handling, like, Chopper right now in Star Wars Rebels, like... He helped sell that show, so I wouldn't doubt that a little attitude wouldn't get into this droid 30 years removed from the original trilogy, much less, you know, Rebels. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely going to be a notable personality in this little ball droid. Because if they can get all these performances out of Ewoks and droids up until now, yeah, BB-8's going to, one, get into people's heads like, oh my god, it's so cute, I want one. And then here's going to be Walt Disney like, oh, what'd you say? How much you willing to spend on that?
Well, see, I figure, because there's a huge droid building community,
Oh,
probably
absolutely.
as big, if not bigger than the 501st. I am telling you, after today, especially, if they weren't already on trying to figure out how to make him work, they're like, he can really exist! He can really exist! We gotta build him for ourselves! He's gotta be ours, and we're gonna make him all of our own different unique painted colors, and we're gonna put, I don't know, like Mickey Mouse ears on him, and the head will go like this. Look around, and...
Yeah, I would imagine they're going to do it. Because...
the droid building community is about to go nuts.
If they aren't all... Well, because the droid building community, the 501st community, like, we need more screenshots and we need them now. Like, it's blowing up there, and of course...
I'm going to need to make more molds! Oh my god! Yeah, this community has gone nuts today. I am confident.
And then, of course, you know, we can't talk about this without talking about, of course, John Boyega's character, who is very much shrouded in a lot of mystery, because they're not confirming so far one way or the other whether he's good guy or bad guy. Obviously, he's very present in the trailer. He's running. He's there alongside Daisy Ridley's character. And
fans keep asking him questions like, so are you a stormtrooper? So are you good or bad? And he keeps looking over at JJ like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I guess I'm not allowed to say anything. And all he can do is like look out into the audience and just...
That means they've got something for this character. They've got something coming together, and he's probably going to be the thing that you are going to watch out for and wonder, like, from the beginning, as soon as that opening crawl happens, is he good or bad? Is he good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
Is he good or bad? No matter what, there's going to be that one person like, I knew it! Freaking knew it!
Yep.
And then, of course, going back to Daisy Ridley's character, there's been talk one way or the other of... now, mind you, I need to actually go back and watch the panel, because it has, thankfully... The entire panel from this morning is online on YouTube, so you guys can go look that up and see for yourselves. You have to fast forward about 30 minutes because there's a placeholder there, you know, waiting for the stream to start, and then it starts.
Mm-hmm.
But there is confirmation that there is going to be a child in there belonging to, I believe, either Luke or Han, one way or the other, and people are wondering if it's not Daisy Ridley's character, and if her character, which apparently is named Rey, it's not a cover name for, say, Jaina Solo or something like that.
At the same time, let's not get our hopes up just in case it's not.
Yeah, because you think about that, I don't think they were bluffing when they said, hey, we're not considering the expanded universe as canon.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're hoping, like, don't get me wrong, I'm hoping for all those characters too. I would wish for those characters, but setting yourself up to think that those characters are going to be in there might just end up getting the wind knocked out of your sails when you go watch the movie and they tell a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, be mindful of where you're putting your hopes in this thing. But yeah, the potential though there, and I know Nash was talking about it earlier, the potential there for either another female Jedi or another African American Jedi, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, expanding the universe, expanding the roles there. I wish I had seen Luke head on. Apparently some pictures of him were put out there, but I haven't seen them yet. Obviously still a lot of news coming out. And
they'll continue to come out over the weekend as Star Wars Celebration continues.
Right, and we'll probably have more on that to talk about next week,
right,
once we have a little bit more information. But yeah, I think tonally they got it right. They didn't overplay the old music, but especially when you're there watching it as, you know, the screen lights up and you see that Star Destroyer, you're hearing that like it evokes something in you like it did in A New Hope. Like, oh man, this isn't just a movie, this is an experience.
Mm-hmm. And we'll all experience it, I'm sure, day one, because as soon as the pre-sale tickets go up, you better believe.
IMAX. Yeah. IMAX, that mess.
All right.
It deserves it.
Well, it's 10 o'clock now.
Oh, yeah. So we should probably...
We need to stop.
We're gonna stop.
Thank you guys so very much for showing up. We could, like, keep talking about this. In fact, if you're here, like, don't go anywhere, because just because we're ending the main course of the show right now, that doesn't mean we're gonna stop talking to you guys. So if you're here in the chat room right now, we're gonna do an additional 30 minutes of Q&A time where we're just going to chat with you guys here in the chat room and answer some questions, and we're just going to talk about stuff. And if you're not live with us right now and you're watching us on YouTube, then please come down here and be joining us on Thursday nights at... What time do we broadcast? 9 p.m. Central.
Yes.
Every Thursday. And sometimes you see this cat, too. It's awesome. She just chooses when to show up.
As cats are wont to do. But if you want to go ahead and talk to us during the week, you can always hit us up over on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at Mars Girl.
So that having been said, that's been this episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys next week.
Good night!